Nike really owes me one for this subtle product placement here. Nike, if you want to send me some goods, some sneakers. Nike's not watching this. Who am I kidding? Nike's not going to see this. So I have another story about my time in New York City weeks ago when I went for my birthday, and I hesitated to share this story. I was very close to not posting this because I was like, you know what? I wouldn't want that subscriber, assuming he is a subscriber, I wouldn't want him to see this and like feel embarrassed, even though obviously I won't say, I don't know his name, but I don't want to make people feel bad. But then I had an epiphany and I was like, why am I always eager to like protect other people's feelings and walk on eggshells around, make sure everybody else is fine? But like, those people don't care about me. I've been like that in professional settings, family, friends, guys that I was into, where I look out for them and making sure that they're not upset. How many situations have you been in like that where you looked out for somebody, but they didn't give a shit about how you felt about something? So I thought, you know what? I am going to share this story because this guy, who I think is a subscriber, made me feel uncomfortable both times that I interacted with him in person. I was even creeped out. I have to tell the truth. So I'm going to tell this story. So when I was in New York City, I went to this bar called The Eagle that some of you are very familiar with. It's like a classic, historic gay bar, I guess, a chain, if we can call it that. There's other Eagle bars around the States. I think there might even be some international ones. Basically, it's older guys. It's more brawny, a lot of like bears, if we want to use that terminology. More rugged guys. I didn't feel like going to Hell's Kitchen. I'd already been to the East Village the day before, I think it was. By the way, if you hear a dog barking, that's my neighbor's dog flipping out. I don't know what's going on with the animal. So I go to the Eagle. This guy approaches me at the Eagle, okay, and he's wearing a cowboy hat. And he goes, "Are you Kevin?" He comes up to me, "Are you Kevin?" And puts his hand out to shake it. In my head, I'm like, oh, it's Kevin, but yeah, I guess I'm Kevin. I didn't say that, but in my head, I'm like, yeah, sure. Yes, I'm Kevin. Shake his hand back. And as soon as he shakes it, he goes, "I've been trying to meet you for," and I don't know if he said a year or 8 years, because it was really loud in there, right? It's a bar. Hopefully he said a year, because 8 years is even weirder. But he says that, and he says it kind of like, maybe I just perceived it that way. Again, it was loud in there, but I felt like he was a little annoyed. Like, "I've been trying to meet you for a year," kind of thing, as opposed to, "I've been trying to meet you for a year." It was like that, and then shook hands, and he instantly walked back like 6 feet right across from me. So people are now walking in between us, and he was like waiting for my reaction. No context, no information, no, "Oh, I watch your YouTube channel," or this is how I know you or know of you or whatever. None of that. No context. And now he's 6 feet away, right across from me, and he's waiting for me to react. Like, he's looking at me like this. You guys are me, I am him. Like, waiting. "Sir, what am I supposed to say? You gave me no context." I felt a little creeped out. I'm like, somebody approaches you saying they've been trying to meet you for a really long time, but then they just walk away waiting for you to say something. And I could have, of course, approached him to get more information, but I didn't want to engage. I was like, I feel a little weirded out. I'm a little thrown off. And the fact that he was waiting for a reaction, I was like, I'm not going to give you one. So after 10 seconds of me being even probably more awkward than him, just looking back like, what do I say? What do I do? Am I supposed to nod? What do I do? I just walked away, and I actually ended up going home because I was like, all right, I'm done for the night. I want to be in my hotel room. I don't know if it's because I turned 30 now, but like, I just don't want to deal with these environments. I just want to be in my comfortable hotel bed. By the way, in the elevator in the hotel, when I was on my way up, okay, I have to tell this story. This has nothing to do with the channel, but like, this is too funny for me not to mention. So, it's like COVID era, right? So everybody in the hotel has their masks on. That's a requirement. And the elevators are tiny, it's New York City, old buildings. So there's 2 people in the elevator, middle-aged man and a middle-aged woman. And I'm like, can I fit in here? And I kind of insert myself. I've had COVID. I've been vaccinated. I have a mask on. Like, I'm like, throw me a fucking bone. I don't want to wait for the elevator for another 10 minutes. The woman didn't mind. The guy didn't say anything. And during the elevator ride, I'm now realizing why he wanted some alone time with this woman who's a stranger. They're not together. and they're engaging in like casual conversation. He's like, so where are you visiting from? And she's like, oh, Chicago. And she was very friendly. And so because she's polite, she's like asking him to like, oh, where are you from? And he goes, oh, I live in my mom's basement in Queens. And he keeps winking at her. And I'm like, this is your pickup line? Like, he said it in a way like he was trying to charm her, and it's like, come on, like, you're at a hotel. Think of something like I'm on a business trip, like, or say something to impress this woman from Chicago who's from the Midwest. You could be like, oh, I live in Italy, but I'm back home visiting like just some bullshit to impress this woman who's like, oh my God, all these people in New York City, so exciting. So this dummy keeps winking at her, and it's like Three's Company. I'm like watching this dynamic like, oh shit. She didn't seem remotely interested. She was just polite and like, sweet and responding to him. Anyway, then he gets out and does like one last wink to see if it'll convince her somehow to get out with him on his floor. Didn't work. So anyway, on my way home from the Eagle, I was thinking like, this cowboy guy who claims to have been trying to meet me, I was like, oh, you know what? Months ago, there was a guy on Instagram who DM'd me who had a cowboy, like, I don't know, gay cowboy or something cowboy as his username, who had DM'd me saying, hey, I'm visiting blah, blah, blah. And I think he had said, I've seen your videos or something. So I was like, oh, it must be him, right? Like, how many cowboys does one person attract? And I hadn't responded because I don't know this person. So I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, he probably watches my YouTube videos, and so that's where he knows me from. So whatever, days go by, and I'm supposed to meet my friends for dinner. And it was one of those days where everything that could go wrong with the subway went wrong. I had to transfer trains like 3 times. So I'm late now, and I hate being late. I think being late is one of the rudest things, to not be punctual. So I'm very rarely late. And at this point, I'm like getting anxiety, like, oh, like I'm late to see my friends. They're waiting for me. It's been like 20 minutes. So I'm like power walking as soon as I get off the subway. This guy stops me on the street and he's like, hey, it's you again. And I'm like, who is this guy? Like, what is this about? What is it now? And he goes, and I really had no idea who he was. And he goes, it's me from the Eagle the other night. Now this time he's not wearing a cowboy hat, right? So that visual, like I didn't make the connection, but also the Eagle is a bar, and it's one of the most dimly lit probably bars I've ever been to. So I really would never have recognized him. Clearly, I had no idea it was him. So instantly I'm like, oh, it's the cowboy guy. And then I'm like, oh fuck, it's the cowboy guy. Like, I'm late to meet my friends. I don't want to deal with another like weird situation where who is this guy? Like, what is he gonna say this time, right? So of course that's just like a split second thought. And I go, oh, okay. Because I don't know what to say. Like, it's not like we had a huge long conversation, and I'm just in that moment, in that like split second, I'm like, oh yeah, that was like that awkward interaction. And as soon as I start to go, nice to meet you, I think on the word nice, just to be polite, I see this like disappointment plus I would say almost resentment come across his face, like, you clearly don't want any of this kind of thing. And so he made that face again, like, and he turns around and starts walking away as I'm saying nice to meet you. And I was just kind of stunned that, like, in my mind I was like, I thought I was being polite. Like, did I come across disingenuous? Like, did he want me to jump in his arms and be like, oh, I was hoping we'd meet again? So my voice trails off as I'm saying nice to meet you to a total stranger who's like giving me the cold shoulder. And by the way, people are walking by and I'm sure they're like, what is this situation? And I power walk back to my friends that I'm supposed to meet. And of course, as soon as I see them, I was like, you'll never guess what just happened. Like, my friends made fun of me. And then I went from feeling weird about it, like, was I just rude to a stranger? Like, was I just rude to somebody who watches my video? The more I thought about it, I started getting like angry because I was like, this guy twice in a row has managed to make me feel uncomfortable. When your insecurities are so loud that they project onto somebody else, like, that's problematic. Fuck men like this who shoot their shot, but then they don't like fully commit and they don't give context. They have no desire to make you feel at ease. They just want to like get validated. Like, fuck off. You can't just like say to somebody, I've been trying to meet you forever, or something along those lines, and then not give context. And doesn't this in a way kind of sum up like the gay interactions, like the gay world, right? It's like one person with deep insecurities projects that onto another person who maybe didn't have insecurities or maybe already had some, but now it's like worse. And then it's like a spin, like a domino effect.